Hello, Doc Severson here for the ReadySetCrypto OMNIA trade of the day for Sunday, the 27th of September. Before we get into the opportunities today, I'd like to look at the expected move going forward. This is the view from option traders on what they expect going forward based on what they're actually buying and selling in the option chain. And so into October 30th, what we do have is an expected move of about 1,200 points. Now that's down from last week's 1370, which is normal, but way down from 2 weeks ago, which is 1780. So we have seen the forward move drop a little bit, which is expected over time, but not that much, because what we're seeing is that the implied move is carrying and certainly into November. So with the current price at about 10,600 and change, we're going to have a top move up here at 11,853. So we're going to have to bring this one in significantly. And the bottom end of this expected move is going to be down here at 94.43. So we're bringing in this guy quite a bit. 94.43, that's close enough. And then we're going to reset this to today. That is our one standard deviation, or 68.2% probability cone of price movement going forward into the end of October. So what can we do with something like that? Well, we can take a look at this with different techniques like the volume profile and understand really where support is based on where the volume has traded. And if we pull this back to pretty much the last year or so, you can see that there's a significant point of control here at about 9,200. About 9,200. So this is really where things are happening. It's not necessarily 10,000, even though we as human beings associate that as an important level because it's a difference between 4 digits and 5 digits. But right now the price is saying otherwise, that 9,200 is really the important level. Now I can also add some different technical levels here, such as this trend line appears to be in play right now. So the trend line does appear to be in play. And we have to watch out from a price action perspective that we don't lose 10,100 and then come down here below 98.57 and print a new lower low. That would be kind of bad from a technical perspective because that prints a lower high in the weekly chart. Now, one of the things that I'm seeing on volatility skew is that the implied volatility is holding up really well, and you can see the realized volatility. This is the realized volatility. This is the actual price volatility that we're seeing in BTC versus US dollar. But the implied move is still very, very high. Certainly 50% higher than we're seeing in terms of the realized. So this does favor those that sell options for right now versus those that buy options. So this is not a good time to be setting up a straddle looking for a big move. This is a better time to be selling at levels that we think might be valid. So if we go back to this chart and say, well, why don't we sell something that is at 9,000? Well, we can certainly do that. So every pullback that we get is actually an opportunity to be able to sell at 9,000 or below that. Here's one potential way to do that. This is Deribit. And if we're looking at Deribit and out to the end of November, we can look at selling the $9,000 put. And that's going to bring in somewhere around 310, 315, something like that. We're never going to get the asking price, which is going to be 327. And we want to negotiate something a little higher than the bid price, which is 306. So somewhere maybe 315, 320, we might be able to get a fill on. And that's going to give us about a 3.33% return on our capital. Now, these are cash settled. The thing I don't like about cash settled is if the price actually gets down below 9,000 by the 27th of November, gets below there, they just subtract the difference between where the current price is and the strike that you sold. That's cash settled. So there's no real advantage to selling the puts. You don't get assigned the underlying, which is kind of the point of this whole strategy. Alternatively, you can go out to a company like LedgerX, and LedgerX will allow you to get physically assigned. So these are physical settlement And so if we look at the same thing down here, there's a little bit less premium in these and the spread's wider. It's not as liquid as Deribit. Deribit is going to be the number one real options place to go right now in terms of liquidity. They do the majority of the options traffic right now. So LedgerX, though, is an option for those of you in the States. And you should be able to negotiate something better than 254 for this. But you should be able to get somewhere around a 3% return on that. Again, that is, you don't have to do anything for that. This is really the definition of passive income, where you set up that put and you obligate yourself to buy BTC at 9,000 if it does get down to there by the 27th of November. Now, the way I've taught this in the options masterclass is that you try to sell into the pullbacks. Now, obviously, when you do against something like that, that goes against every measure of common sense that you learn about since your childhood. Like, your notion is when the price is pulling back, you want to do everything but stand in front of that freight train and sell. But these are the times, especially if you sell as the price comes down to a support level, where you can maximize your credit for selling something like that. So any pullback, you don't want to be selling puts as the price is going away, because the price, not only is the price getting away, you're selling at a strike price that's more distant. The implied volatility is coming out of there like a deflating balloon. So selling as the price runs away, this is the time where people, it feels better to do, but you don't get as good a result as when you sell into a pullback. This is where it feels bad to do, but this is usually where you get your best result from that. So this is something you can work on as you go forward in your career in trading, is to try to take those positions that feel bad to enter. All right, looking at the rest of the market today, we don't have much going on. We have BTC down 0.8%. We have Ethereum down. Just about all the top 20 is down. And this is what we're seeing. We're seeing one day up, one day down, one day up, one day down. We're just seeing choppy price action. So you're not going to get really great signals out of this. We're not seeing any breakout volume from these levels. Now, the one coin that I do like today is Monero. Monero has got by far the best looking setup. And this needs to not only break above about 97 to qualify for an entry. Look at the energy though. Look at the energy that's available and on tap for this guy. Not only at the daily chart, but also the weekly chart is pretty heavily charged up. So I do like this one. And this is not what I would call a cup with handle. This is sort of a horizontal channel that did fail on the first breakout above a 100. So a lot of people are looking at this like, well, it's just going to fail once it hits 100. But in my experience, this is where typically people will back off from entering something and just say, well, I'll just let it see what happens. And then they end up chasing it. So be aware of any break above about 97, maybe a good entry into this one, although it's going to get, the issue will be in doubt until it breaks above 100. So to me, that's my trade of the day. Is Monero on a break above 97? It's not going to be an easy entry for this. It may occur in, odd hours of the day, but it's got to be supported by volume, and volume has not been really Monero's strong suit on any kind of breakout here. So anything that is above average volume for this. And of course, I'm just looking here at Kraken, and perhaps Kraken doesn't have, the world's most devoted Monero base here, but any decent volume is going to help this thing break out and stay above that breakout level. Not much going on in the altcoin world. A lot of these are just recovering, just broken charts, as I talked about. We do have some that are still looking pretty good, such as Hero. Hero just continues to outperform. We had a cup with handle breakout from Hero, and you don't chase after the breakouts on these. You got to get in right as it breaks out. You can't chase after it 2 days later. You get faded, as you can see any of these, but it's holding a nice trend, and a breakout above, I'd say about 2,000 sats might be the next entry on this. Certainly a lot of daily energy on this guy, and the weekly energy isn't bad either. So that's kind of the altcoin that keeps on giving, has been Hero versus BTC lately. Nothing else is really moving. in today's market. So with about 12 hours to go before the new candle prints and we start working on a new week, that is, those are my trades of the day to watch for in the near future, as well as some potential ideas on how to start to get passive income by selling puts against BTC USD. You guys have a great weekend. We'll see you back here on Monday.